Do we have a minister present? Okay, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. We would like to move the ambulance repairs item down to the study session because we have a different proposal to present to you tonight, something other than what was in your packets. So we'll explore that with you a little bit instead. Other than that, the agenda is as you find it.
It's already been in this one.
Yeah, I think it's already on there.
Oh, you have a modified?
Apparently, yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, let's start with approval of the minutes, which I don't have any minutes. I just noticed that.
I just noticed that the minutes didn't make the packet. Well, I apologize for that, and I didn't notice it until just now.
I didn't even miss it until right now.
Okay. So, we'll see if we can retrieve the minutes from Stacy's computer. I don't know why they didn't make the packet, but she hasn't been here today, and so we'll see if
Okay.
Amber thinks she can get them, so I apologize for the shortage.
Can we move on then to financial matters? Okay, let's move on then and do financial matters. Appropriation ordinance number 16.
A question on 63509, reimbursement for 429 West 5th Street for $8,000.
That is the Wells Fargo house,
Mm-hmm.
where Wells Fargo gave us the house and gave us $8,000 with it. And then we sold it on the condition that that money would accompany the house, but the buyer had to show us that they had spent it on improvements to the
Okay.
house.
Oh, yeah.
Very
So
good.
that's all been completed, so that's
Okay,
what
great.
that's all about.
Great.
Okay.
So it's on the tax rolls now, huh?
It's on the deck. Has been for a while.
Plus $8,000. And I have another question, 63533, Lincoln Township overpayment.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't know the mechanics behind it, but that's for ambulance. The several townships outside the county, including Lincoln Township, subscribe to our ambulance service, and there's a contract they sign every year. They've all been signed this year. And we pay them, we charge them in an amount that's calculated to, as a whole, for all the townships, roughly equate to what the individual taxpayers in the city have to pay. So it's several $1,000s, or and there's what was the refund there of 800. So for some reason they paid us twice or something. I don't know exactly what the mechanics
Thank
were,
you.
but that's where it came from. It was an ambulance payment. Apparently they overpaid it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Maybe we should take a few minutes and allow Commission to examine
Why don't can we go ahead and finish up the appropriation ordinance number 16 before we move on to the minutes? Does anybody have anything else?
Well,
Move to accept.
Second.
It's been moved by Sam, seconded by Chuck, that we accept approve appropriation ordinance number 16. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. And we'll take a moment to look over the minutes.
I noticed in the public comments about the ear dogs, it states presentation, it doesn't state the result. We agreed to
think that would come later on.
Yeah, that would be,
The manager's report. I would move to approve the minutes of the Wednesday, August 17th, 2016 meeting.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of the August 17th, 2016 meeting. Before we vote, were you here that day? Were you? Okay. Any further discussion?
It's just my name is misspelled. But that's all right. A D was added to it on the ordinance 2016-3113. Just get the white out of that.
So we'll make that correction
You
then.
bet.
Okay.
Yes.
So, all those in favor of approving the minutes as corrected, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And now we're on track. We're ready for public comments. If there's anyone who wishes to address the commission, this would be the time to do so. We'll close public comments and move on to new business, the water tower painting contracts.
This matter has been before you in several study sessions and is now on requesting action on your part. If you go to the page before that, please. We put out specifications asking for bids to repaint the west water tower and received 5 bids as shown here. We do have a local vendor bidding, as you can see. However, the difference in cost between the local vendor and the low vendor is appreciable. And I think under the city purchasing guidelines, the staff following those recommends that we accept a low bid from Utility Service Company, except that that is not exactly what we intend to do with them in terms of the bid for the tank. Rather, as we have discussed with you, they have proposed to us an ongoing service contract for both tanks that would, for approximately the same money as it works out, paint that tank in the very near future, and down the road a couple of years, paint the other tank, and going on from there in payment of a fixed sum every year, they would take care of both of our tanks, repainting them at least every 10 years on the outside and every 15 years on the inside. Their representative is here this evening. I don't know, I don't see our payment schedule in the pack.
It's kind of under 2.
Contract price and annual fees.
Okay, it's got, oh, it does, you're right, they just spell it out there. We had shown you visuals of a year-by-year schedule, but you're right, it's in paragraph 2 there. The fees that are to be paid annually, and they start off a little higher for several years to pay for the initial work being done now, and after that they drop down to a lower figure, continue in perpetuity. This country does this in perpetuity. It's not quite right until either side decides to cancel the contract. We can cancel it at any time. This company specializes in these arrangements, has numerous cities across the country that they deal with. We contacted some of the local ones and got very good reports on their service. So if you have further questions.
So are we actually tied in for a certain number of years?
9 years.
9 years?
Is that right?
Technically, you're not. And technically, it's just a 1-year agreement. Automatically renews if you're making a payment. However, if we come in and do the $177,000 renovation, and you were to cancel next year, you would owe us the remaining balance
Right.
of that.
For that renovation.
Okay.
But as far as the future annual maintenance program portion of it, it's an annual agreement. So as long as you're in that program, you make your annual payments, we're responsible for the maintenance. But you have the option to cancel every year if you want to.
And just for the sake of interest, it says that it would be capped, the annual increase would be capped at 5%. Is that what it has usually been for other
No, it's usually about 3.5%.
Okay, so that's just the cap.
Right.
Tied to the CPI then, or?
No, it's just, it's set, basically, we put a cap or it can't go up or down more than 5%. That's how we set it up.
And then what, like the company, board of directors, or just the company decides what percentage it's gonna be?
I think pretty standard, it's set at about 3.5% per year, the typical cost of inflation. You know, even with, even with the economy or something being down, you know, the price of paint still continues to go up every year. And so basically, pretty much set at a standard 3.5%.
So the motion that we would want would be for $51,475 per contract year, 2017? Is that, are we talking about?
Perhaps the appropriate motion would be to approve the water maintenance contract, water
Right.
tank maintenance contracts for two different contracts, one for the east tower and one for the west tower.
Okay.
Can we do that all in one motion?
So,
I got a question. At 5%, up to a max cap, 5%, is that based off the 21,687?
That is based off of the actual maintenance program once you drop down. So it'd be 5% of the 24,000 on that tank.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what it'd be, and then it'd go every year after that?
Correct.
So it'd be 24, let's say it goes up 3%,
Yep.
and then the next year, 3% on that figure and the whole thing?
Correct.
Okay, so the further out we get, it goes up, but we're still getting better than the start.
That's correct. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion, we accept the contract for the west and east. So we just combine them together there?
With
Cost of
utilities.
51.
Yeah, what's the?
yes, I think if the motion is to accept the contracts of utility service company Inc. for service on our east and west water towers.
Yeah.
Second.
That'd be for $56,518
Initial payment.
initial payment.
Right.
But as the contract states out, on the different rates for the two of them.
Contract
On
year.
the west tower, the amount is $51,475. And the east tower is the one you just quoted, Madam Mayor. So $56,518. We basically,
We don't need the amounts.
Amounts.
That's a good thing.
because it's an installment contract and the terms of each of them vary slightly depending on the schedule. There's a higher front-end payment on the west tower because that's the one they're gonna pay immediately. A lower front-end payment on the east tower, but they're not gonna pay that until.
So that's why it's just 2,000 a year for the
Start off
first.
on that.
Okay. Okay, it's,
When they paint that, there'll be a period of time where those go up for the first time also.
it's been moved by Sam and seconded by Tim that we accept the contract with Utility Service Company for the east and west water tower maintenance. Is there further discussion?
Just publicly, we did contact our local guys, and
We went back to them and asked them if they would care to reconsider, and they did, but they weren't able to.
okay, so they had their chance. Okay, very good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to the dispatch equipment upgrades.
I'll let the chief explain what we're doing here when we get on the contract.
Mayor and Commissioners, we've had several conference calls with representative from the 911 Council, AT&T, and other vendors on the next generation 911 project. We've already put in a new voice recorder, but we've changed some of the configurations. That is going to require a digital card and digital license in the amount of $7,572, and that is an approved expenditure to come out of the 911 funding, so no city funds will be involved.
Those are good ones.
I want to know if this is a legal and binding contract and an example for us all. This is the total contract here. It's got the buyer, the seller, the item, the terms and conditions, and that's it, one page. So, sorry we can't bring you more than it like that. So I would request a motion accepting the Voice Products, Inc. contract for 8-channel hardware and channel license and installation in the amount of $7,572.
I'd so move.
I'll second. Looks good.
It's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Sam that we accept the contract with Voice Products, Inc. in the amount of $7,572. Is there any further discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay. The Broadway Plaza Charging Station.
This is an item that's been particularly mentioned as something that interested the commissioners. And for the first item, this is an invoice ready from Hood's Electric for 2 items. The first one is for 2 spotlights for the stage area. That's something that had pretty much been in the plans all the way along, but it never made it into anybody's bid, and is pretty important to us, so I just went ahead and asked those to get installed before Fall Fest. And where these would go is atop those poles that have speakers on them, and they could be rotated around, but basically they'd be aiming at the stage. So for any act or show that had an evening deal and didn't show up with their own equipment for lighting, then this would provide lighting for the stage. That's what it is. So these are all weather LED lights of a pretty high grade of quality. You can switch them on and off in the control room. And they'll have them installed by Fall Fest, as far as I know, and they'll probably be in use that evening. But the one that I was bringing to your attention, we really is something extra, is the outdoor charging station. They sent us some pictures of it, and their prices for a 3-gang outdoor power pedestal, and I think they're talking probably, I want to skip over to, there's a picture that shows 3 of them kind of in a row. Keep going there. Okay, and go over to the right and pull it up as big as you can on the green there. 3-gang options there. So I think we would be buying, I guess, GFCI outlet, that's your basic plug-in, right? So 1 standard plug-in and 3 USB charging ports in a pedestal of the type, if you want to slip over back to the other side of that picture, probably the little one there. So we would have one of those sticking up somewhere. Not sure where on the plaza we would put it, but if you decide to go ahead with it, then we're actually having a meeting next Monday morning, probably sometime next week in any event, with the contractor and the electrical contractor to kind of go over all the controls and everything, so we could work out where it could be placed without having to fitting into our current wiring scheme and not getting away.
Does this really fit into the overall look or whatever of the plaza?
That kind of looks, it's kind of a little black towery thing, so kind of does.
Up
So-
tall.
So good question. Is there a dimension?
34 inches.
Yeah, there you go, so, like that. So I could see it, stick it over by the bathroom somewhere maybe, or I'm not sure where it'd end up, but.
They're gonna have to tear any grass up?
No,
to-
we wouldn't want to tear up any, we certainly wouldn't want to tear up any cement. We might have to take out a little corner of grass to put in, I don't know. Or we might be able to plunk it right down on cement that we have. So we wouldn't want to get into any big expense for installation, nor has it ever been a part of our plans, but it kind of got mentioned and there was interest on the part of the commission, so I said I'd track it down. I only went to one contractor on this because Hood's is the contractor that's done all the electric over there, so they know where everything is. I thought it might be kind of hard to go to somebody else.
Did the committee
Bless you.
have a chance to think about this, or?
Kind of, excuse me, I thought you were looking past me. Do we have, there's a committee representative. Pardon me. I talked about it some.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's your question?
How we
What's
talked.
his purpose?
The charging station?
Yeah. I mean, what are they gonna be used? I mean, And how do they fit in?
Charge up your phone type
Well, I
thing,
mean,
so,
yeah,
you know, that's
but,
it,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm not, we don't wanna spend money, so people go charge their phone up.
As- you know, as
I mean,
convenience, yeah.
how does it fit in with the
With the-
plaza?
I think Toby mentioned to us, Royal Stadium installed a bunch of these.
Yeah, I mean, any place.
Airports.
Any gathering spot now, you see a lot of these anymore. And the sporting stadiums are the big one, and you'll see charging stations set up all over the stadium, and people there plugging their phones in. And,
Last time we were in the airport, we
Yeah,
got
airport's-
breakfast. And both of us were charging at the same time while we were eating breakfast and stuff.
Fits into
so-
kind of the philosophy of a multi-use public venue. It's one more use, and down there.
I could see like an example being Fall Fest, where you're gonna have a lot of people that are in town and a lot of people that are away from home or away from where they would typically plug in devices that would be there, you know, for a long period of time.
So
No,
they'd
that's
stand
where
there,
you
they'd
go.
stand there for an hour while they charge their phone.
Sure.
Now, so, yeah, whether it's a good idea, and I don't know how long it takes one of these to charge. Well, I noticed too, it doesn't have a cord. So
No, you have
so
to bring your own
bring your
cord.
own cord, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
guess
well,
what would
Well,
get
we're not
ripped
gonna furnish
off?
the
Yeah,
court.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, we can do it or not do it, either way. It was something that I said that got mentioned, you would kind of show some interest, so
Where would
there
the
it
money
is.
come out
If
of,
the-
Larry?
Well, we'll probably be spending more of next year's TIF money, so, on
Yeah.
this, so.
If the purpose is to get people downtown, is this gonna do it? I mean, is this a part of the whole big picture?
I think
'Cause
it
if
would
it is,
probably bring
yeah.
people to the plaza for that purpose. Honestly, I
Just
do.
to charge their phone.
Sit down and drink a cup of
You
coffee
know,
while it's.
unless you've been in an airport lately,
Well, I
you know,
have.
because that is something, that's the first thing that a lot of people look for,
If
is
you're a
they are getting
traveler,
off,
too,
yep,
you know, so.
is
Well, right,
charge your
but they're
phone.
Off the airport, they're gonna get on a plane and they're gonna fly out. There's a purpose and a fit. I mean, I doubt if, put it this way, I don't believe people go to the airport just so they can charge their phone and then go back home.
I think that people, well, no, they're not gonna go
No,
back
I
home,
was
but I
about
think
to
it'll
say.
keep
But they use
people,
what's available.
To get anecdotal.
people will keep, you will keep people there to charge, if their phone needs to be charged.
I was at my daughter's
People-
wedding this spring, big, in a kind of a meeting hall place in Portland. There was one place over that had a phone charger, busy all afternoon.
Yep.
You know, people were taking pictures while they were there, and so we're having an event, like a wedding. People are taking pictures while we're there, whoops, my phone's running out. You go and charge it up, so that was the
Yeah,
experience.
I think people would leave to go home and charge their phone. They may or may not come back.
To me, I think that on the surface, this is something that's not going to necessarily attract people there, but I think it's an amenity that will add to the overall presence of the plaza. I think it's something that, you know, I can appreciate the question about spending what, $2,200 for basically 4 outlets to charge a phone, but I think it is something that people look for, and I think it's something that is it's kind of a standard that people are wanting to have, and I think if we had exposed out, which I guess I don't know, and I probably should know because we've seen it. I mean, I don't know how many exposed outlets are currently. Are there any exposed outlets? Yeah.
Mhm.
We have, there's a set of plug-ins on the east side of the plaza, about in the middle, just inside the fence, that have, 6, I think, dual plug-in outlets and then one heavy-duty one in there, but no charging station, just
No, but
plug-ins.
if they have their
If they have
wallet
Well, we could also
adapter.
switch one of those outlets to.
Yeah, could we? Yeah, maybe so. So,
I
you know.
could.
So
I'm not certified. I'm not.
But to go with your question on that, how many people could charge their phone at once on one outlet?
one, I mean,
There's 3 on here.
So
Three on the little
each of them
post.
have one outlet.
So there's one of these, that be behind one of these posts, like the short one there. And it's got a little flip-up box and.
Right.
and it-
Only
and
one
there's-
phone at a
and
time?
there's 3 USB.
Oh, 3,
ports.
yes, okay,
Yeah.
3.
And then there's a plug-in, electric plug-in also. So, that's how you can.
Well, you know, I think maybe it's a generational thing, but if this is gonna, you know, keep people there, go get their cup of coffee and, you know, and if that's what we want, it to be a gathering place, and I see a good purpose for
I
it.
kind of, you know, when we're guessing on some of this, but We have had enough interest in the use of it that we're optimistic about renting it for private occasions. So it's one thing to toss in there, and oh, by the way, we have a charger over here. So
A friend of mine on Facebook posted from an airplane, I think it was Mount Hood, coming up through the clouds. And then her second picture was the charging station on the plane. And to her, it was a big deal. And it was a person our age. So, you know, there's
I'm probably
definitely-
quite a bit younger than you, but just so you know.
I was pointing at Sam and
Oh, okay.
I guess I could go along with Chuck's reasoning, but you'll never get me to believe people are coming down there just to charge their phone.
But yeah.
I don't think it would be that, but I think it's an amenity that people will take advantage of. It's not something that's going to necessarily.
Bring people specifically to, but it's
gonna add to the overall.
Well, and I
presence
think
and
it also
value.
says something about that our city is recognizing the needs of our citizens, and we're in the 21st century. I mean, that's how I look at it. It's not just that we're doing it for the people, but we anticipated that this might be a need that somebody might have. I think for the price, we should go ahead and do it.
Yeah, the price kind of fits. Now, let's say 9 people will get their phone charges. The rest will have to stand in line.
Now, 3 people will get their phone charged.
There's 3
Oh,
of
I
those.
thought there was 3 in each.
no, we're just going to get one of these.
Oh, okay.
One like the shortest one is $2,000.
It seems like a lot of money for
For one.
something. But I'm assuming it's durable.
We'll hope, yeah. And this is designed for use. I didn't pick this one out, I just called it.
And it's waterproof, or so that water isn't
It's
gonna?
an outdoor pedestal. It's
Okay.
fine for that.
And where would you put it?
I'm not sure, I think, we're gonna be meeting with them somewhere there, have to find some place where we can do it relatively conveniently.
And that's I guess why they put pictures with marketing pieces, is to sell the product. But I do see the folks sitting at the table with their laptops out. I can absolutely see that happening, where people want to get together and then they can plug in their tablet or computer or phone and can work on it as they're sitting out in the plaza, which is what we're designed to
Just
do.
one. People get together, only one of them gets to charge.
Oh, look, no, there's 3, so they're all.
Okay, 3?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 3.
One pedestal,
One-
three people can charge.
Okay. Then that's a group.
If
Plus,
there's
if
an outlet,
somebody
you can-
has their outlet.
Yeah, you can
Their
plug it in
wall.
another one, so.
See, they're all smiling.
Yes, and they're all smiling, and that's what.
Although the gal that's sort of out of focus looks like she's smiling too, and we don't know if there's a pedestal there or not. So
She's
With or
she'd
without a
have to wait her
want to
turn.
draw any
She's got one
causation
in
or
her turn, there's
correlation
only 2
there.
connections on that one.
That's right.
She's waiting pleasantly.
So she's frowning, she ought to get the charge.
Stop while you're behind, Charles.
Oh no, she does have a tower. I'm looking. There is a tower back there. That's why she's happy.
Well, we're only gonna have one, so,
We might have a clamor for more of these if we start.
yeah, well, maybe people will donate them.
Maybe put a quarter machine up. And,
Now, that,
you know,
I like that
you
idea.
know, finance it over the next 50
Put a
years.
See, the
quarter
plaza
in
will
to
make
charge
money.
your phone, I'm for that. I'd even say recommend we buy 3 of them.
Well, let's get creative with the orphan train statues, you know?
Oh, that's
Think?
pretty creative.
Maybe not.
I like that, Tim.
Charging
Good
stations
idea.
coming out of the ears.
Let's amend the motion.
That was totally tongue in cheek.
I think that if that's a possibility, that won't be in anything in the way of anything else.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't really like the price of it.
No.
I think that seems awful high, but I think that it is, like we're saying, it's not gonna bring people specifically there, but it will probably keep people there.
If we were going indoors, we could get something much cheaper, but the only place we could do that would be the bathrooms, and I'm not sure that's.
When people are sitting on the pot, then they can charge their phone.
Quick charge.
I saw one that comes in a toilet paper holder.
Oh, my gosh.
There you go.
I think this is way classier.
I do like the lights, though.
That's probably a more expensive model, but this is the least expensive one we're looking at.
Are you talking about the?
No, I'm talking about the
other
lights.
The
though.
spotlights?
Yeah, I do like
You
those.
can buy a better one, leave the light on. Yes, thank you about the lights.
Yes, I like the lights.
We need to have those.
Totally.
Okay, so I guess we need a motion then.
Motion to accept bid for charging station.
Charging station and the lights, or have we already?
I've already ordered those.
Okay.
Toby, do you think that as part of the design committee, I guess, do you think that the outlets that are currently in place, would that serve this purpose?
No, I don't think so.
Because
I think you want something like this and with the USB ports. And to use an example, another place I've seen this is in student unions at colleges. And so last spring, I've been teaching up at Cloud, and I took a group of sports broadcasting students down to Concordia State. And when we broke for lunch, every single kid was plugging in too. But it is, they bring their cord and they know that it's that USB is what they need to plug into. And I don't know that.
But if we could switch one of those outlets to a USB,
I mean, I don't know, but I think if you're wanting to put this in a place where people gather, you're not gonna have that by putting it into the existing
Okay.
outlets, so. I mean, I guess it depends on the functionality of it, so.
I just don't have a
Set
good
it off to the
picture in my
side.
mind of where it is, but that's what I was, if we can accomplish this with just replacing an outlet, but if the placement of that isn't conducive to the.
Yeah, I don't think it is based on where it is now.
The outlets are against the east side fence, about the middle of it.
Yeah, and you know, it'd probably have to be somewhere over by the concession area
Yeah,
without
that's-
it being in the way of the concession area, if that
I mean,
makes
I think
sense.
people would be there for their phones, but I think it would be brief just to get a quick charge out of it and go. But
Okay.
I think you will see people doing this, and especially if you have Wi-Fi there, that people can just sit down.
Which we do, the Wi-Fi is engaged and we can choose the Wi-Fi.
So I think that's a.
And that's a limited time, right?
We haven't got that set up yet as far as the time it's working now, but we have sorted that part of it out.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I could see this if we had one table that was secure, and you had it next to the table, and then
Oh.
people could sit around.
Well, we have ordered, I think I mentioned to you in a recent memo, in addition to the chairs and tables, that are little tables that are over there, we ordered 2 tables, kind of about that size, and kind of set up chairs for them. So there's gonna be 2 of those there, we could find a place for one of those.
Yeah,
Which is
I
next
totally
door. So
agree with Sam.
Pretty much
on
looks
that.
like the picture, just like you're seeing there.
Although, yeah, it just, you know, if we were talking a real good price of maybe 3 or 4, and we had them stationed around, then I could understand it. But we're talking the plaza is filled with people, and we have this one thing sticking up in the ground for someone to charge their phones. I mean, it's just hard for me to see the fit on the whole thing, or really the purpose for just one of them, and we can't afford it anymore. And the fact is, because they should be stationed around. That I'll go with, because then people are gathering and they have lunch, you got different people sitting at tables, so they got their computers in the summer. That I could understand. But just to have one, I just don't see the fit. And that's the main problem I got with it.
Well, one's a starting place. If this really takes off and we get people that are saying, hey, we need more, next year's budget's tight, but we would wait till then and say, yeah.
Yeah, they're both valid points.
Yeah, well, both of them, but we could just get this one and see how it goes. We have people in line there, then maybe we can sell them something while we're standing.
Right across the street.
Well, I move that we approve the bid for the charging station.
You tired of talking about this?
I am,
Christie?
yeah, I think we've done
I'll
it.
second.
It's been moved by Christie and seconded by Tim that we approve the Broadway Plaza charging station. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay, I just can't do it.
Okay, motion carries. Moving on to the runway overlay contract.
Do we need to approve the lights?
Oh,
We've
it's
already
already been
ordered.
ordered.
Okay. I heard him say that, but
So we could just reject it.
I think we already probably,
Don't feel too bad. The other day I told him to watch out for the floor on the ground
oh,
at the store.
Yes, we are.
Then, the next item being the runway overlay contract. The contract documents themselves, which were in your packet, were prepared by the engineers. I reviewed them, found them to be within the norms. If you have any questions, we can go there in a moment. But this memo, which I sent you after the bids, states where we are on this. Bids were opened 2 weeks ago, and we had 2 bids, one from Hall Brothers and one from APAC, both of whom are contractors, have done good work for the city in the past. APAC most recently did the water line on 6th Street from Broadway to the highway. And their bid was $355,851.20. This is for an overlay of the runway at the airport. The project is being paid for 90% by KDOT, 10% by the city, except that the city pays 100% of the design. And the breakdown is in this area. There are 5 charging items on this project: construction, design, bidding, construction engineering, and project management. We already have a contract in place with the Benish Engineering Company to do the last 4: design, bidding, construction, engineering, and project management. That was approved a couple meetings ago. So on the construction, the total is $355,850, which was, and KDOT shares 90%, $322,6508, and the city's is 10% of the amount. It's worth $35,585.12. The total bid, by the way, was just slightly under what KDOT had predicted, so they did a very good job of estimating what this is going to be. The design is entirely ours, as indicated. That's on Benish's contract, $15,310. The bidding, overseeing the bidding, which is what they did 2 weeks ago, I drove down to Clay Center, to Manhattan, and attended the bid opening with them, and the representative from APAC was there for it. So for that money, they prepared the bid documents and the contract documents and sent them out to a list of bidders, and we received 2 bids on it, as noted, and they proceeded then to vet the bids and make sure they correctly covered all the items in them, and you have their recommendation about that in your packet. Construction engineering is the inspection phase of it, which they are also covered in their contract. That's a $51,180 charge. KDOT's 90%, city's 10%. Project management has to do with things like reviewing the contractor's pay requests, and that's $6,870. KDOT's 90%, city's 10%. So the city's outlay for this project is $57,313.12, for which we have provided in our capital improvement plan. We were basing our set aside for that in our budget on KDOT's estimates, and they turned out to be about right. So we have the money set aside to do this. KDOT will pay the rest. The contract calls for a startup very soon and being finished by December 1st. Finished means everything. The contract includes overlay and new striping and arrows and all that sort of stuff. So this was handled completely by our engineers, and they do this sort of thing all the time. They are designated airport engineers of the Benish firm out of their Manhattan office. So if you want to go to the next slide, please. Oops, go back to the slide. Does anybody have any questions about the numbers?
No, the money will come out of the airport CPI, right?
Yes, and we kept enough in there to do that.
Okay. The other part I like about this project is that if we continue on with the overall airport plan, that then this runway will be used as the secondary runway. Is that correct?
Yes, it'll be the taxiway.
Okay. So it'll serve
Yes.
a future use also.
Yes, we're making this investment partly with that in mind. And you might recall that about a year ago, we learned that KDOT had done an inspection of various runways across the state, and ours scored very badly, and they thought it was a major project, a high priority project for them. So it definitely needs the overlay, and if it's done, then it'll either continue in use as is, or if we do build the bigger runway is planned to be located east of and parallel to the existing runway. The existing runway would then become taxiway alongside it. So there are the two bids as noted, with Hall Brothers being just slightly higher. I think the engineers remarked they were alike on everything except their staging cost, which is the cost of coming up here and setting up business. That's where there was a difference in their two bids. Could I, next page then, please? You've seen this cost breakdown, which is sets out the various parts of the task as far as what they're doing for the money. If you have any questions about that, I'll be glad to cover them. But this is basically how it was bid. They bid out each of these items in their bid. Go on to the next thing, please. Here's the actual proposal form that was prepared by the bidder and reviewed by Finish as far as their bid. On to the next one, please. Keep going. And here's the contract. We have 3 different documents this evening. This contract, which as many engineering contracts do, makes a lot of references to other documents and the plans and the specifications and various federal rules and regulations are all part of this contract. Any change orders are part of it, all covered by the $355,851.20. With one proviso noted in my memo, which is that if the crack seal, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, stuff they put in existing cement to seal cracks before they cover it over, that is based on an estimate of how much of that they're going to need. The engineers think they might need a little less than that. They could need a little more. The engineers figured a fairly small variance either way, but that's on a lineal foot or whatever they do with crack seal. And the other thing is we are doing a project here, and sometimes projects have other stuff that comes up that nobody can foresee. That's always possible, but in this one where everything's above ground to start with, we kind of don't expect too much to be a surprise.
Shouldn't find any walls this time.
Shouldn't be any
so.
walls, shouldn't be any buried anything out there that we'll have, if there is, we won't have to dig it up. So we don't anticipate any unusual things, but then I guess you do. So that's the contract amount. So if you have questions, I'd entertain them at this time. If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the Benish prepared, excuse me, to approve the APAC contract.
Brian Donovan, is he pretty excited about this?
They've been in contact with him particularly about when to do it, and they're working within a window of time that won't interfere with his operation.
Okay.
I'll move to approve the contract with APAC Kansas for $355,851.20 for the airport runway overlay.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by
Lyle?
Lyle, thank you.
What's his name?
The guy at the end.
Yeah.
Seconded by Sam that we approve the
Adams.
contract for you said $355,851.20.
Yes.
Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, Larry, I'd just like to tell you, I like the terms.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I'd rather they were good.
I guess the only question that comes to my mind, if is there merit, if we're going to do this other larger project, would it be better to put that money towards if this is going to just serve as a taxiway, would it be better to put those funds into the larger runway and move forward with that, as opposed to investing in this as a runway just to improve our taxiway?
Well, as of now, it's our runway and likely to be so for a number of years.
Okay.
So that's one side, and if we proceed with it, we will do this part anyway. We would have to overlay this one anyway.
Even just
Yeah.
to serve as a
I
taxiway?
think so, given its condition, I think we would have to do it anyway.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, well, just sort of what was that? I think just Lyle and I were on the commission at the time, but I think about 4 years ago, we did a pretty big study of the airport, and it's like a 20-year
Okay.
plan, so, I mean, it would be still quite a few years in the future before a whole lot's done.
And at that time, there was a big push to have the hospital out there and to improve things. And And maybe, just maybe, this airport improvement doesn't have to be done right away, you know? I mean, it's on the book, but, you know, I think this is a logical step towards that, but
Fair, that's
maybe
fair.
it never
In
get
the
to that.
meantime, I think we need this to keep our airport open,
Sure.
frankly.
That's just how projects in my house go. If I'm gonna do this, then I might as well do that. And if I'm gonna do that, then
The actual new runway, if we build that, is a very large project, and it's gonna demand a lot. It's 10% is going to be a striking figure. So,
anticipating that, didn't know if it'd be better to save these pennies for those dollars, or
yes.
That's why it's best to wait for 20 years.
But I think
Then I don't have
KDOT
to worry
certainly
about it.
identified this as needing to be done now, and if we're going to start
Still be
running into
alive
problems
soon.
with the airport as it is.
fair enough.
Okay, we have an open motion. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. And we're ready for the manager's report.
The only thing I really have to report to you this evening is I'm pleased to let you know that Walmart has given the city a grant of $1,000 toward the seating for the Broadway Plaza. So, much appreciated, and we'll have a little presentation with them, photo opportunity I expect in the near future.
Thank James for that. James is the new manager,
Yeah,
right?
yes. And I give Stacy credit here, she's the one that filed for the grant, and just learned yesterday that we received it. So appreciate their generosity, and we'll see it get spent.
Larry, would it be maybe a good thing to, not right now, but in a few months, maybe pull out the airport master plan, just so that,
Just review it? Yes,
yeah, so that the
actually,
newer
yeah.
commissioners can kind of see where
Yeah, I had
it's headed?
spoken to Brad Waller, the airport engineer, about doing that sometime this fall. And so I can get him down here and just, because there is, the actual plan is a very thick book, but it boils down really to a set of plans of what has been envisioned for out there. And you're right, most of you aren't that familiar with it, so.
He's
we'll-
exaggerating just by a little bit.
Not
I mean,
a
it's-
lot.
It's
It's
big.
big.
Yes,
It's
yes,
big.
yes. The actual plan is so big that we haven't tried to put it on the computer, but we have kind of a little digested part of it that shows that, the plan is a lot like our comprehensive plan that has a lot of recitations about this or that at the airport. The Airport Advisory Board put all this together, and they were very thorough in their work. And I think gave us a good plan. It's just a question of where we're going to actually do it. The reason we bought all that real estate last year and the year before is now we have all the real estate we need to do that plan. We'll show you how all that fits together, but I think it'll be wise to let the engineers come down and tell you about it. So we'll set that up for sometime, maybe October, November. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and Commissioner comments and reports. I'm going to start so that nobody takes my ideas. I just think that the Broadway Plaza is looking great. There's been a lot of hard work down there, and it represents a lot of money and a lot of work by a lot of people, and I'm really proud of it, so I'm really excited about it. The sunflower just is kind of the crowning piece. I didn't think I would like it in the paint, but you know what? I like it in the paint, so
It's been
great.
painted, so I haven't seen it yet.
Well, I've seen it
Yeah,
painted,
so far,
yeah.
Okay, well, good.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, what they did was etched in the cement, the outline
Mhm.
first, so when someday we repaint it, it's gonna be easy.
Yeah. Looks really good, and I appreciate all the energy and money that's been spent down there, so it's really nice. Who wants to go next?
I will. I was contacted this week by someone, and maybe it would be a good idea, next meeting, to review our ATV on street policy. Just,
Yes, I've
and
had that same contact and promised to sort out the law. I don't know that we have any leeway, but.
yeah. It sounds like it's working, what we currently have, but maybe it just needs to be aired what it is, and I'll encourage that person to come and, you know.
We have one owner who wants to be able to drive, and I think maybe more, who want to be able to drive their, what's called worksite utility vehicles, these larger ATV with side-by-side seating, on Highway 81 and, Highway 9. And I'm not certain if our ordinances and the state statutes really together permit that. So it's on my short list of things to get figured out, probably the next.
Mixing those
Thanks, that's all I have.
semis.
Okay, thank you.
There's a question on that. You know that ordinance allows them to drive it, are they required to have safety belts
Yeah.
and
Yes.
follow the same
Drive in
procedures?
on the
Has to be
Lights.
street legal. The vehicle has to
brake
be
lights,
street
turn
legal.
light signals.
That's why they don't
Seat
let
belts,
golf carts
turning
go
signals.
on, just 'cause they're not.
Unless
You
they
can
have
get a golf
mirrors.
cart that's street legal, but can't be driven on the highway. And I'm not certain whether we can
No
permit
coolers in the
ATVs
back.
on the highway. Probably can,
Actually, I
but
think
it's
you
a little
probably could as long
confusing
as
to me. I've
those
looked at it
contain.
once, but I'm gonna go back.
Would it be like 81 then?
Yeah,
Or nine.
You know,
right now they're permitted to cross.
And this gentleman is a true businessman. I'm sure he uses it for his business purposes,
Absolutely.
and that's the whole thing. You know, we don't want recreational drivers driving up and down 81, but if that's how
That's where
he needs that to get to his work, to use that at work. Let's review what the state regs say
Yeah.
in
The
Fed,
state
you know.
statute, I'll
so-
show you when we get to it, is kind
Yeah.
of confusingly syntaxed, if you try to parse it out. So, I'll see what I can sort out on it. Do it if we can and present something to you if we need to.
If not, we're trying to find a creative way to get there.
Jeremy, I've been approached by some people about they're upset about, people are just leaving the clippings on the streets and the whole thing, and they're not cleaning them up. Do they affect the sewer systems? Especially when we get a lot of rain and they get washed down there?
Not my sanitary sewer system.
Yeah, your storm drains and the whole thing?
A lot of times the grass clippings will get caught in grates, and usually when it rains, we go around and clean it up.
I've seen that.
So it's costing the city.
Well, they put the grates on there to catch all the trash and stuff,
Right.
so if there's trash there, we need to pick it up. We're trying to keep from the stuff getting to the river and stuff like that, so. I've really never had no trouble with it. I've had
Okay.
people call me, they've dumping them down in a drain, went and checked it, never found nothing, but,
Okay.
I mean, they'll pile up on the top of the grates and then.
You know, I get a water bill from Kansas City, Kansas, Public Utilities. And this time there was a little orange insert, about that big, that asked people to not blow them into the street because of that exact reason, exactly what you're talking about.
So that might be something we could put a flyer out in the water bills.
We could also make that a nuisance.
I think that it would, because it's blasted our voices, but personally, I don't think it portrays the image of Concordia that we want to portray. But I think that, a couple, if I'm push mowing along the side and some grass gets over there, I get my blower out and blow it back into my yard. But I'm thinking about the ones that just dump.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost looks like an inch, 3/4 to an inch of clippings about 2-3 feet out. To me, I think that would almost be covered under, could we get that as littering?
I think that we would probably need to add to our ordinance, grass clippings on the street. Or if we look at-
I just didn't know if there's, if we had a current
Probably-
vehicle for that.
Probably not, that we probably, and there are cities that do prohibit this, so there's some language I can.
Well, somebody brought it up to me years ago, when probably 4 or 5 years ago, and their major concern was actually safety. They were kind of afraid that they might you hit that grass and they try to stop and they more skid than anything.
Or kids on bikes and motorcycles.
A lot of that's just, a common courtesy thing, but
And Granches,
obviously people aren't following that.
yeah, and Granches, some years, most of the time, everything's dry. There's nothing growing
Yeah, this
around
is
here, but,
unusual.
years that are, I go with Chris, just the way it looks the city, plus the fact is it creates extra work and possibly safety. I just think it's something we should discuss.
I'll see if I can come up with the ordinance. It would need to be something different than our ordinary nuisance enforcement, probably, maybe not, but our bylaw with our nuisance enforcement, the first step is to notify people, and we have an extra step in front of that, a courtesy letter. We
Right.
send out. But it may be that if we have the ordinance change, put the flyer in, remind people every spring, we'll get a lot of voluntary compliance.
Yeah, that'd be
Christie,
good.
the note, did it refer to some ordinance?
No
against the law?
ordinance, I don't think.
Just
I
remind
think
people.
I still have it. I set it aside and
We
meant to
can try
bring it,
just
and I
asking to
forgot.
see what happens
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
It's worth
I
it.
think it looks horrible. I think the guy who's mowing the lawn's lazy or whatever, you know, you just have all these thoughts. But on the other hand, as hot as it is, 3 days later, it's gone, you know, dries up, blows away, whatever. And so, but you're right, it looks bad, but on the other hand, again, compliance, what's going to be the consequence? We're going to send out more patrol to you know,
I think-
find
It's
people.
another thing to enforce.
Yeah, it is
Right.
another thing to enforce.
Right.
I just wonder if, you know, the note in the water bill might not
Might
be.
help.
I
might
think
be
that's where we should
worth
start.
trying that.
I agree.
Although at this point in the year, I mean, we're hopefully almost past.
I'm not so sure.
flood
I think I'm
months.
gonna be mowing till November.
I don't know.
It may happen.
We've got at least 2 more months.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
think?
if everything, if the water turned off today, I think we've got at least 2 more months.
Of mowing.
'Cause
I'll
it's-
get
it's
that
cooler.
down to
Early
you, and you can
frost.
take a look at it.
Yeah, that's, of course, I
Hmm?
haven't reviewed it.
When's your next billing come out?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I know one year. we
That's
actually had
good
frost
that you, you're
That's a
not.
tough question.
September,
And,
right?
think
and you
one
know, the
half this
area
morning
that
it
Chuck was
snowed.
talking
I
about
mean-
is, I mean, that thick, it's almost like, it's the guy, people who don't take care
It's
of the lawns
amazing.
till it gets
It's
up
always
there.
been
Then they
a
come in and whack it and it's all over the
That's
street.
who- that's
You
who
never
does
see
it,
that
so.
around the houses where people are taking care of their lawns. But it's the ones that, they're renters or something, and it gets up here, so then they go whack it down, and it just goes in the street. And that's what I think
You can make
is
an
what we're seeing.
Well, and what they're thinking is that, okay, if they throw it back towards the yard, then they have to remow it,
Yeah.
whereas, and if they let it go too high, but yeah, it's common courtesy.
But I heard this one woman heard this guy do it, and she told me that. And the guy looked at her and says, "City will clean it up."
We could
And that was
encourage people to
his
send,
comment.
Send photos of their neighbor's grass clippings in the street to our Facebook page.
Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great
Yeah,
idea.
it's-
Amber
You know,
has one.
and here's the thing, to me, it seems like that if we do pass an ordinance, it's gotta be more complaint driven than anything, because Ron doesn't have time to drive around,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
Megan doesn't have time to just drive around looking
Well,
for
I'm kinda
grass
serious about
clippings.
that last
But if a person calls, then we can go look at it and see if there is a,
You don't wanna get.
And again, all I'm saying is to cover the cost of the city cleaning it up, that's it.
I think that there's some first steps to take, see if it becomes an issue, and then if we find that
Yep.
next spring it's an ongoing issue, then we can come back at it, maybe do a little more heavy hitting, but a friendly reminder that,
I think
it's
that's
the
good.
best way to go first.
Okay.
really just, even if you're on a rider, you could take a couple passes pointed towards the
Yeah, and blow it
interior,
back.
and then you get
Yeah.
around and you can spread it out over the grass that's there, and it's not that hard.
Okay, any other?
Sometimes it is.
Well, honestly, one day I was driving past the park and whoever was mowing at the park was doing that exact thing. And I thought, you know, I'm sure they're gonna take care of that. And I'm sure they did. Because I haven't noticed it.
That's where you go then along the
I wasn't-
road and blow everything
I
back
just-
towards the curb.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was taken care of, so. Did you have anything, either of you
I've shared
guys?
enough.
Okay.
Surprisingly, I'm good.
And,
Excuse me, before we get started, I did have one thing I need to cover with you, which is the league meeting is coming up here in a few weeks, and we are asked to designate voting delegates, 3 of them. And this year, since the 3 people going are Commissioner Lamberts, Commissioner Sacco, and me, I suggest that you vote to name the 3 of us as voting delegates to that 2016 Kansas League of Municipalities meeting. I don't know if anybody ever actually votes on it. But they like to have this done. I think they need to sort of have a reauthorization.
Well, I'll motion that Sam, Chuck, and Larry have the authority to vote at the League of Municipalities.
second it. It's been moved by Tim and seconded by Christie that we appoint Sam, Chuck, and Larry as our voting delegates to the Kansas League of Municipalities annual meeting. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We've been elected again.
Yeah, but they probably won't let me vote.
You have to stay to the very last
Yeah,
bit, 'cause
that's the
when
thing, you have
meeting,
to
that's a
stay.
tough one. The meeting is at the very end.
Okay, any staff comments?
I've got some pictures of the new pool lights on at the pool, so I'm supposed to show them to you.
Oh,
That's with them on there. I think they made it a lot brighter down there.
Yeah.
I agree.
mhm.
Just driving by it at night.
I know in the past, Ron, that they kept the water in the pool so that the high school and junior high could use them up through about the first week of September. Now, that's changed, what, about 5-6 years ago? Is that more of
Yeah.
a, that's a maintenance type
Well,
thing?
at the first, we was keeping the pool open on them weekends before that, but our attendance was so low, and attendance was low, and our chemical cost doesn't go down any because your sun leaches it out and everything, so.
Okay.
And we still gotta have people that are maintaining it, so we said, cut the cost,
Yeah, makes
close
sense.
it early.
All right, and the school didn't want to pay the cost of the chemicals, if I remember right, too. and so
That's
that was
true,
it.
too.
All right.
I forgot about that.
Oh,
We asked them that.
their
too.
share.
Looks sharp, though.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm,
looks
it
good.
does.
It's nice. Even when you drive by there now, it almost looks like there's no lights out there.
Mhm.
Because you can't, you ain't got them big globes out there now. It's more streamlined and looks pretty good.
Yes, it does.
Thanks.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Guess I haven't driven by that, right?
Last week, Meltonville contacted me and wanted some help with, they had a sewer backup. And they asked if we could bring down our vac truck. So I sent Paul down there with the vac truck and he cleaned 600 feet of their
Oh.
line and got everything going for them again, and they're really appreciative of that, so.
Okay.
And we have I think it's an ordinance of rental for the vac truck, which is $200 an hour plus labor for the guy running it and fuel, so they will get a bill for it, and I let them know beforehand, so. They had contacted another company to come and do it, and they just kind of pushed them back and didn't show, and then they did show 3 days later, and I think his name's John Puckett.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was not happy with what they did or wanted us to just make sure that they had done what he asked them to do, so we went down there and we spent about 2 hours down there, so worked
Sure,
out
they
pretty good.
appreciated it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And classic detail, today we killed the sewer and water to the classic details so they could get it tore down.
Good.
Okay.
Did we get our, the thing, I can't remember how long ago we voted on it.
The
for
orb?
Yeah, did all that get installed?
Not yet. Hoods is still waiting on the last piece from the manufacturer. I guess production is slow, or either slow or they're just backed up that far. I would think that something like that would be on the shelf, pick it up, send it out, but it's in production, so.
Just make yourself a nuisance and call every day.
Well, they keep, have you ever seen the movie Money Pit?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, that's what they keep telling me. So,
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Just gonna have to pay for it.
Anybody else? Okay.
Oh.
Nope.
Mayor and Commissioners, our changeover to the Next Generation 911 has been pushed back to tentatively November 17th.
Thank you. Anyone else? I think we've about hit everybody. Okay, at this time, then, do you still need an executive session?
We could have 10 minutes executive session for non-elected personnel.
Anybody new and who?
Just me.
Okay.
I'd move to, I guess, move for an executive session inviting Mr. Uri for a period of 10 minutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Chuck and seconded by Tim that we enter into executive session and invite Larry Uri for a period of 10 minutes. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
No, but,
Making sure
well,
Brad spells his name right.
they wanted to keep on it.
It wasn't Brad.
Thank you for the new car, Commissioners, and no action taken.
Sad to feel.
Yeah, it did.
No action.
Honestly. But I've been having fun.
Okay, at this time, let's have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn to a study session?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. We'll do our study session.
Yeah, I'll have one. That sounds good.
I've got-
Okay, I'll do.
Thanks for coming, Toby.
Yeah, thank you, Toby.
Brad, are you and Bill about the same age?
No, he's a little younger than I am.
Is he?
Yeah.
He would have graduated in 58, I think. So, yeah.
Is that 18 or 19?
Mayor, Commissioners, these are specs for vehicles that were stolen from the sports complex. I don't know if Larry's informed you or not, but he wanted me to bring this to you, and I spec'd it out exactly what we had on both of these. Hoping to take it out and get it bid and get a couple new ones.
Have we had any luck with them finding out the money?
I haven't heard, I have nothing.
Do we
They-
have any surveillance cameras?
Not out there.
Is that something we probably should look at?
Well, this is the first time it ever happened to me out there, but,
Now that it happened once, the odds are it could happen again.
yeah.
Who was that? I was talking with somebody that said they were broken into, and the first thing they did was cut the surveillance and steal the camera.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That happened to us at the hangar.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's.
Thanks.
Yeah, those, unless they're up where you just can't get to them, I mean,
Yeah, but a lot of them, I think you can though, Chuck. You can, it depends on where you place them. I mean, you put them right there, they can look
yeah,
at
you
it.
gotta use some common sense.
Maybe that was
Um,
talking with
Do
you.
we, I mean, I know this isn't your area, but have we heard anything about compensation from our insurance for this?
We put in a claim.
We have put
Yes,
in a
we
claim.
have. They told me, I can go and purchase everything except for the pickup with it, and I had 2 fuel tanks in the pickup too. There was 50-gallon fuel tanks.
Oh,
So
did they
told
have
me I
fuel
could
in them too?
What's that?
They were filled with fuel, or?
Yes.
Of course.
Well, for insurance purposes, they were absolutely full. They were full as they could be.
Of course they were.
They had nice pumps on them and.
Do they hot
But
wire
They
the
were
truck?
top to the
What's
top.
that?
Do they
That's
hot
right.
wire the truck?
No, the keys were in the truck. It was locked in a shed out there.
Mhm.
So they broke into the shed and got into it.
Is that why the insurance company said don't hold off on buying a new vehicle?
I don't know if she just didn't have the authority to approve that yet or not.
I'm guessing no.
Because, I mean, I got a pretty good list here. I had, a Toro push mower, a steel weed eater, 18-volt drill, Milwaukee grinder, mower blades, chain, and there's some base plugs, 100-foot tape, and a leaf blower out there that they got the first night.
That's just, to me, seems so risky
So-
because that stuff, I'll have to go somewhere else to sell it.
Right.
Did it,
I mean,
Farm sale.
based on your experience, Chief, would this be a local or somebody passing through Highway 81, slipped over, took off, and now are in Canada.
Well, I doubt if it's in Canada. Even if it is, anything with a make, model, and serial number has been entered into the NCIC computer, and the Canadians do use that same system. So if it goes to Canada and they run it up there, we catch it.
Basically, if they get pulled
But-
over or something.
Does it sound like a local thing, or?
Well, I'd rather not comment on active investigation.
Sure.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, and from what you said, Larry, you guys have kind of changed,
Been an
what you're doing
educational
there, that,
opportunity.
no, the keys can't be left in the.
Some of the things that we had where we're keeping vehicles, or just how we have them stored, we try to hide them so that we can, we're still vulnerable, you know.
Oh, yeah. Anywhere is.
Yeah, you have a bunch of equipment stored in one central location, but that's the way you do it.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could probably take a crowbar and go down to the city shop and go in there and break doors open and steal tools, you know, stuff like that. I
Mhm.
mean,
Where there's a will, there's a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to keep the innocent.
Let's work hard so we don't have to work.
Where?
At the shop, just on the water.
Yeah, on the water thing we do.
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah. I forgot about that.
Is the main, Ron, is the.
And they're the ones that we're not talking about.
Is the other one down there, is it at least wired? Someone to break it or something? It's
Don't forget we have
silent
the
alarm
big
or
guy
something go off?
surveillance system,
Have
too.
like the city shop?
Yeah.
No.
You have to answer when they.
You're
Larry's
right,
asked the
anyone could
police
just go
chief-
down there and break into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've asked, police chief and fire chief to undertake a security review of our premises and make any recommendations that we have.
Very good, thank you.
I'm
Good
sure we're
idea.
well along on that.
So,
Is any money spent long-term is worth,
See what the cost effectiveness.
yeah.
Fair enough.
So do we have to pay for it and then we get reimbursed? Is that?
that's what I'm guessing. She told me to send one bill for all this stuff I got here at one time. So once I send these bids out, I'll probably start ordering and getting some of this other stuff too.
What is our deductible?
I think it's 1,000.
I think that's right.
Okay.
It may. We'll say 1,000.
That municipal pool insurance,
Mhm.
that,
We're
Guess
we
insured
have-
in all those places.
see how good it,
We'll test
the
that
premium was
out.
$50,000 less than the local
Yeah, it was, but
bid, but.
we really haven't had much of
yeah.
a claim on it
No, yeah, so that's
since
it.
we've started, have we?
So they've given us a lot of assistance, but we really haven't claimed that.
Well, I've claimed a couple times on traffic light at 11th and
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Lincoln. That was 13,000.
Had a good response.
Well, it's still in there. I finished doing some of the paperwork the other day that they wanted. So hopefully they get back to us.
Mhm.
What happened the other day, Ron? I think we had 2 or 3 lights out. And they were doing.
6th and Broadway and 7th
Yeah.
and Broadway. That was the power company replaced a pole there. And
Okay.
they shut the power
Okay.
down, and when they got the pole back in and everything wired, they turned it back
Okay.
on.
Mhm.
That's all it was. So,
Our current insurer is responsive, you call them, you get called back from the very.
yeah.
And there's been a couple times, if I have a serious personnel matter, I can call their attorneys that specialize in that and talk to them. I've done that.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing anymore. I actually, we have a policy that, and I'm able to call and get professional advice pretty much anytime. And it's helpful.
Particularly on personnel matters.
Well, I'll bring these prices back to you for these utility vehicle and this mower on probably the first meeting in October.
In October?
Yes.
Are you able to get your work done without these?
I had a John Deere Gator up to the cemetery. I had to pull it, which I used it more in the summertime with the kids and stuff. And I took it out there, and then I had to just rob another truck from somewhere so he could drive it. So, yeah, I'm able to do it. It's a little slower, but, because we had 2 mowers out there, now we only
Yeah.
got 1,
Yeah,
so,
okay.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
So just to preface Eric a little bit here, you've seen in the packet options to either, well, we had an ambulance call we have an option of replacing it with a used one or repairing the one that we had, but we now got Plan C that we'd like to talk to you about.
What we had is a 2008 road rescue ambulance that has the Ford 6-cylinder or 6.0 motor in it, and we blew it coming back from a transfer, so we didn't have a patient on board. It's going to cost about $22,000 to put a new engine in that, because they have to disassemble the whole front of the ambulance to put it in. It's not just a drop in easy like a pickup. We found this ambulance in 1995, so it's 21 years old, which an ambulance lifespan is supposed to be about 15 to 20 years. It only has 26,000 miles on it. It's got the 7.3 diesel engine. It's pretty comparable to Medic 3 that we have out there now with a lot less miles. They'll sell it to us for $10,000 as is. Some major concerns about that is we're buying a 21-year-old ambulance, and they're only supposed to last 15 to 20 years. The motor's good in it, but that's a major concern with that, but we're trying to bring up some different options. The other option is to repair it, like I said, or the final option is to go with, this is some pictures of that 21-year ambulance inside. The other one is to go with Osage. This is a remount that they could do, which is taking the box off of the blown motor ambulance, putting it onto a new chassis. The problem with that is it's going to be about 8 months before that would be done, their lead time. To do that would cost about $81,100 from Osage. The other option we have is to buy a Ford Transit vehicle, which the paid transport companies are using a lot for their long distance transfers. They ride nicer, that kind of stuff. It's basically like a FedEx van. We've got some pictures of it, but they have a demo on stock right now with 7,000 miles on it. They had it here about a month and a half, 2 months ago for $85,885.
How many miles are on that one?
On this
Seven.
one, about 7,000.
7,000.
It's just been going around letting people see it.
Okay.
It's an option that they have. It wouldn't be customized. It'd be a totally different ambulance than what we use. It would not be used for, it'd be our fourth out for emergencies. They're real compact in the back, so doing 911 calls in them, it makes it pretty not conducive for the patient or the techs. So what we was looking at is we could get something like this and run it down the highway. They get a lot better fuel mileage than the heavy boxes. Life Team has been using them for their ground transports, and are loving them.
So this would be really more kind of the commuter of the ambulances,
Right.
not the
Somebody that
heavy
was
duty.
right.
It's got dual wheels. It's a heavier truck, kind of like FedEx, but it's a lot safer. It passes more safety tests than the box do, but it doesn't have the room. If we can go to the pictures of it. These are the schematics of it, and the best way to explain it to somebody is it looks like the FedEx, little drive-around trucks, those types of things. But it's completely set up for EMS with all of our shelving, our seats, O2, everything that we need inside.
What was our rotation? When were we gonna buy a ambulance in the picture?
We've actually purchased one that's supposed to be coming in. And it's supposed to be done in December timeframe to replace our old unit, which now we're looking at having it replace Medic 2. It's a 602 that is beginning to smoke and everything, just like this 2008 did. And we're concerned that we're going to blow the motor in it too. These 6.0 motors have got problems with their injectors and turbos. We've put new injectors in that, and we just continuously are spending money repairing them. So what we originally was planned when I first came here is they wanted to do basically a remount, and we put that off for 3 years. We ordered this new one, was hoping everything would get by, and then the one that blew is actually our second newest ambulance. But we're running a lot of highway miles, doing transfers now too.
That to me almost makes this the most logical purchase. If we're burning them out doing these high mile transfers, then let's get something that's efficient for a high mile, and then we save our boxes for.
The 911s.
Mm-hmm.
That's what AMR, Life Team, the people that are actually doing real long transfers, private companies, this is what they're going to, and that's because they're finding it's better and they're a cheaper unit. A box style, baseline's going to be 180 to 200,000, as we've seen in the quotes that we're getting in December, and these we can run into for about 80 to 90,000.
What would be
So-
your choice of the options?
My choice of the options would be to go with this. My plan, and we had talked about in the department in 2 to 3 years, as time progressed, to come back and get one of these because of the transfers and the safety factors in it. But we blew the motor, and concern is Medic 2, which is the third oldest ambulance right now, is smoking just like this one. So the plan is, with my guys, to keep Medic 3, which is actually the oldest, but it's got that same 7.3 diesel engine in it. It's a better motor, and the guys feel it's a more reliable truck.
Would we get a salvage value in the one we blew the engine?
Out of the one we blew the engine, the company says it's worth about $1,000.
Oh, really?
Even because it's a 6.0. Even the one that's running is about 3,000 to 4,000. On Purple Wave and stuff, you see them go for that 4,000 to 6,000 if they're running
Huh.
a blown motor.
The box isn't worth anything then, huh?
The box is worth about $1,000 to $2,000. They'll take it and then put it on another chassis and sell to somebody that's in this kind of predicament, and make them a boxed one for 80 to 90,000 range.
But
With
it
a
takes
blown
8
motor,
months.
they have to pay to have it hauled there and everything else. Most of the time when they do those, it's still somewhat drivable. It can be drove to the factory.
How many miles did we have on it?
88,000.
How fast do we run those down the highway when we're going to Salina?
How fast are we going?
Mhm.
Depends on the call. If it's if the patient's stable, we do the speed limit. If the patient's in bad shape, we can make it to Salina in about 37 minutes.
Okay.
So,
So, you're not rolling with just, that's what, about 90?
85
No, it's
usually
not that bad.
is about what they tap out at.
Somebody's life's involved.
Yep.
I mean, the perfect example is we had that wreck on Union Road and 81. The girl got hit by a semi. From the time we got on scene to cut out to having her at Salina's door, the trauma center she needed to go to was 56 minutes. From the
Which, by
time
the
we
way-
got on scene, cut out to the door.
She's
That's
doing
impressive.
very well.
That's good.
She's worked for me, and she's back working for us, and
That golden hour.
That golden hour, that's what we're after. I mean,
How long would it take to get this new one?
this one that we're looking at, it's done. They'd have to do the graphics on it. Talking to the salespeople and stuff, we could pick it up in October when we go down and do our mid-build inspection. So, I mean,
where do we have
Where's-
the funds? for it?
that's the issue, and that's where we turn it over to the.
Amber has a hat. She's gonna.
A printing press in the back room.
no rabbit, we want
Terry
money.
and I thought we were probably going to have to suggest a lease purchase, basically an installment contract to you, but Amber has approved on that.
I didn't do anything except for,
So modest.
except for, this is our equipment reserve fund, the gray, I guess I could use. The gray is the ambulance / fire department, and this is the current year where he sits $254,400. The ambulance that we've already approved is $231,900, and maybe less, according to him now. And that will come out actually in December. And then this one we're talking about around 85,000, just put that in. He's only getting, since we cut our equipment reserve transfers next year, $35,700. So that would be a negative $26,792 in his portion of the equipment reserve fund at the end of next year. He doesn't have any current needs that he knows of in the near future. And the fund itself generally maintains at least a $200,000 balance. So the negative would then be a positive in 2018, assuming you didn't need anything else. So basically, we're floating it through the equipment reserve fund.
Can you run a negative balance in that line item there as in the whole?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay.
And basically, the financing that we looked at was gonna have interest of 25,000 over the 4 years.
So we might as well self.
If we could float it through there, that would be a much.
Yeah.
Will we have to pass anything on that?
Re-
No, but like an ordinance or
No,
because
an
we're.
ordinance or?
Publish our budget.
No, this isn't a budget change.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd say do it that way. I mean, if Eric's happy with it, he's the one that knows what needs to be done.
And from what you're, I mean, this seems like it. That by doing this too, I guess my hope, knock on wood, is that then it would maybe help relieve some of the pressure of the one that the engine's a little.
The intention is when we get the new one in December, January, that we're gonna get rid of that one. We sent it on a transfer yesterday because the other one was getting serviced, the 7.3, and it was calls if it breaks down. I mean, and that's.
So we're that close.
That's, yeah.
Okay.
I would not trust it to get in the vehicle and go very far. It's a last resort vehicle right now.
Any value in that one?
That one's about $3,000.
Well, there's 3 and there's 4. That takes that down.
That takes it down a little bit. I mean, and that's what we'll do is we will.
Down to 22.
Nickel and
Isn't that
diamond,
crazy,
yeah.
though? You
Purple
put that
wave
much
it and try to get
money
A
best
into it,
$200,000
and then
vehicle
it's worth-
decreases to.
The
That's
companies
not
that
crap.
deal with them are saying with 6.0s, we're better off
I
selling
mean,
it
that's about your
privately
crud.
because
Absolutely.
emergency services are trying to get out of that 6.0, but your plumbers, your
Yeah,
contractors,
knock on
those
wood. I
types of
do that
people
too.
will still buy them and have a
Yeah,
use for
that's
them.
right.
So you won't be short one then?
No. We're short one right now.
Right.
today.
'Cause
But
I do-
in 30 days, if we could do this, we would not be short.
Say do it.
That makes sense to me.
I think so too.
Shoot, that one for 10,000, how cheap could you get that one for?
That one, he's pretty stuck on 10,000.
Just tell him its lifespan's gone.
Just, his thing is the same thing, it's because it's got that 7.3 diesel.
Has
I
value.
mean, my personal truck, I had 300,000 miles on it when I traded it in with that 7.3, and they gave me 11,000 for it, just because people want that 7.3 diesel motor. That's what they're paying for.
It'd be
Just
kind of nice if you
bulletproof.
could pick that one up a little cheaper, then we got an extra one,
Extra
and
one.
you could use that back and forth.
Biggest
We'll
problem.
have a
is
city vehicle and a
housing.
highway vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We will proceed with the order.
Well, and
And see if you can get that
thank
guy
you, Amber,
10,000
for
down more.
the financing.
Get him down to 9,900.
I was thinking 8 or 7.
That'd be a conversation for you to have, Sam.